Hello, my YouTube friends. What a crazy week in the markets. Are we going to see the equities continue to go lower? Are we going to see them catch themselves and start going back higher? What are your thoughts? I'm going to share my thoughts and let you know what I think as we continue in the video. Should be a good video. Good morning. My name is Adam Kahn. This is Investing with Adam K. I hope you're all well. Welcome back to Las Vegas. Had an awesome trip, but to be fair, I'm also glad to be home, have my own stuff again, my own bed, get back to my normal routine. I'm kind of excited to do a video today. So the equity markets seem to be going through quite a rotation. It looks like people are moving out of the tech companies into the more stable or more traditional companies. Starbucks had quite a day on Friday, but just the general like the Johnson and Johnsons and McDonald's and the stuff that's been getting ignored for a while. I think that's going to continue for some time, but I also don't think tech is a bad spot to be either. I'm still bullish the market and I bought on Friday. I plan to buy more on Monday as well. I think it creates an opportunity when we have these types of pullbacks. I could be wrong. It could be the beginning of a long downturn trend. To be fair to the doom and gloomers out there, it's just that I disagree with them. There's a lot of things going on in the economy that are kind of scary and could become bigger issues. I just think we're still in an uptrend and I don't want to fight the trend. That trend is your friend type of thing. I actually got into some of the tech stuff that's been out of favor as I saw the pullbacks in Amazon and Meta and Google. I saw it as an opportunity to add on to those positions. For those of you who've been watching me for a while, you guys know that's my main positions that I have in the set it and forget it account that I don't even really watch or pay attention to. Now, obviously, I watch every day. I see what's going up and what's going down. And I have my much smaller account that I get in and out of things. And since I saw these pullbacks, I saw it as an opportunity to get into some of it and get a little bit longer. The thing is, I still want to stay with the ones that have been out of favor for a long time. Even Starbucks, which had a huge day because one of the investment companies started putting on a nice position in it. The reality is, these things have been so out of favor, and to me, they're so undervalued that it seemed like a really good opportunity to start getting along those as well. I don't really see them going and making new lows, although, of course, anything is possible. And as I always say, please don't follow my advice. This is just what I do for me. You guys need to make your own decisions when you're making financial choices for your own accounts, and really maybe seek a financial advisor or somebody who you use that's a trusted advocate for your accounts as well. You shouldn't listen to me or, for that matter, anybody on YouTube because you have to find somebody that helps you find the things that fit your specific scenario. My life is different than yours. I'm going to invest differently. I'm going to have different goals. I'm also going to have different, whether it's what I've already built up or different incomes. You really have to make it specific to your own accounts and can't just copy some other guy. And the reality is, if I see something that's good or bad, and even if I'm right, if you're not following every day, and this is not advice to follow every day, please do whatever you want in terms of it. You don't know when I get out or reverse or change my mind on some of it. Only I know what's going on in those things unless somebody's really on top of my account that way. The reason I'm getting longer these things is I don't see anything in the economy that's fundamentally changed. I think you're all well aware. I just came back from a rather long trip. Similar to what I've seen in the US, places are busy. They're really busy. And despite that a lot of people are struggling, what I really see is a divergence of the haves and the have nots. And it seems like the companies are still doing really well. Now, to be fair, the inflation is really bad everywhere I went. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody's been having a tough time. It's not like it's just no big deal and everybody's doing just fine. It seems like a lot of people are struggling all over the place, and things have slowed down, which goes into the Fed being able to cut rates, I think. Thing is I'm not sure how soon. When retail sales still came out pretty strong, I don't know that Powell is any hurry to just start reversing because he's going to be worried about spurring inflation. In my mind, now I'm not on the Fed, I don't look at the same things they do, But in my mind, I don't think that's really what's going to happen. I've seen inventory in real estate start to increase across the country. Now, real estate is very local. Here in Las Vegas, we still have a very short supply, and I don't know that I see the same pullback that I see in other places. But when I looked at Florida and Texas, to be fair, they've had a big increase of inventory onto the market. I don't think cutting the rates a quarter point or even a half point is really going to start spurring this inflation again and just driving the markets to go crazy. They might get a little ahead of themselves in anticipation for more cuts to come, but I don't think they're in any hurry to cause a big issue. But if they stay ahead of it, which I don't know that they'll do that. They might wait too long and cause some real cracks in the system. But if they stay ahead of it this time, I really think we could have a soft landing. What I would like to see is them start cutting sooner than later, and that the yield curve may even uninvert. I would love to see a scenario where they cut the short term lending rate and the long term didn't really pull back the way that the market anticipates and go back to what I would consider a normal yield. The reason for that is if I'm going to lend money, which means buying a bond, that's essentially what you're doing because you're going to get paid the interest to put that money out there to somebody else. The longer I lend out my money, the better return I would expect to get. So when it's inverted, that is a sign of a recession to come because people don't see the growth going forward. But if I were to buy a 30-year treasury, I would hope to get better return than on a 2-year treasury. And currently, it's inverted, and you do better on a 2-year treasury than you do on a 30-year. Well, what I would hope is as the Fed cuts short-term rates and you see those short-term bonds come down and the rates be a little bit lower, I hope that the long end of the curve stays strong and doesn't fall quite the same way. If it does, I might have some concerns that they'll have to keep cutting or that we could have a continued slowdown or whatever it is that may not drive the markets the way that I'm hoping. But businesses seem to be busy, and tech businesses seem to profit and do just fine. With the election year, there's going to be good advertising money for a company like Meta, and now Amazon is adding the commercials to Amazon Prime. Google, it seems to be flooded with the commercials on YouTube and their other outlets. I just don't see them having this big correction where they're not going to be able to make money and continue to grow profits, which is why I see this pullback as an opportunity to get long those stocks. I think they're actually doing well and they're going to continue to grow and outperform the market. That doesn't mean that I think McDonald's, which I think is a great opportunity right now, as it fell, like I think it got close to $300 a share, and then it fell to about $250 a share. And McDonald's is a great company. And I think those $5 meals that they're doing is going to start driving business to them again, despite everybody complaining about how expensive it is and everything else that's been going on lately. I think McDonald's knows how to weather the storm, which is kind of my point about these big companies that have been around a long time. They've seen these economic cycles and they know how to handle them, and they persevere. They manage to continue to drive profits and continue to grow. So I think they're all great companies, and I think the economy is okay. I know a lot of you are struggling out there. I know the inflation sucks, so I don't want it heard the wrong way. But I think if you are McDonald's, you're still making sales and you're still doing just fine. I also think the economy being bad or people struggling gives them an opportunity to change their structure and unfortunately let people go to cut costs and raise their profits. It's a shame that they get to use the media the way they do when things slow down and things are tough, but I think that creates an opportunity for a lot of big companies to let people go, which is why you see them firing employees on thousands at a time, which it hurts. And for those who lose their jobs, it's terrible. But for the companies, it creates more revenue. I mean, UPS let a bunch of people go not that long ago. My guess is give it another 3 or 6 months and you'll see the stock start drifting higher. It looks like it made a good bottom not that long ago. That's what you look for in these companies. And it's quite possible things get much worse and it actually reverses and continues where they go lower. Just not what I picture happening right now. I also don't see the Fed cutting rates and it just spurring the housing market to just drive sales again. I think they're going to be surprised, or maybe not, maybe it's what they were hoping for, is that the demand has kind of slowed on top of the prices being high and the rates being high. Think when they cut rates, it might support the market from collapsing, but it may slowly drift lower because, to be fair to the gloom and dooms out there, it has gotten a little expensive and the rates are a little high and the monthly payments are stretching people. The thing is that's how it's been for a lot of years in a lot of other countries. We've had the fortune of the math always making sense for investors where they're only going to buy if you're net positive on the income from the rental, but maybe we start to emulate what the other countries are like, where owning property is just what they want to do, and the math may not make sense in a place like Las Vegas going forward. I'm not saying that's the case, but it is possible it'll be that way. Look at Hawaii. The math hasn't made sense in 30 years, as far as I understand. Once it became popular and a tourist destination where people want to own land, it's not like you can buy a rental property in cash flow with a small down payment. It just has not made sense in a very long time. It's possible other vacation places like Las Vegas will fall into that same category, and it's kind of what I think. I don't know that that's what I'll see happen. I'm interested to see how it plays out, but it is kind of what I think will happen. Especially because part of why I moved to Las Vegas is when I thought about it, my attitude was if you live in, I don't know, I'll use it because I was just there, but if you live in one of the countries in Europe, like Italy, you've probably heard of Las Vegas. You've also heard of New York. Maybe you've heard of Chicago, but that tells you the power of a place like Las Vegas, that you're being heard worldwide. And I'm comfortable to say that people know it. And kind of the reaction that I even got on this trip was like, oh, Las Vegas. I don't think that's the same for a place like Chicago or some of the others that are popular cities if you live here in the US. But if you don't, maybe you're not as familiar as we are with them. So I thought that would drive the economy here, and I thought it would drive the real estate prices. I didn't expect it to do it the way that it did. I thought it would have been slower and longer, but I really did move here because I thought it was undervalued. Now I'm a little surprised and not sure what to do because everywhere's gotten expensive and it's not so easy to take those profits and just move somewhere else that's less expensive now. Now, those of you interested in the trip, I think we spent a total of about 7 weeks, maybe a little bit longer. We landed in London and then we pretty much did trains. We went to Belgium from there and saw Brussels and Bruges and some other cities. It was super cool. From there, we went to Germany and we went to Berlin and Munich. We were supposed to go from there to Italy, but we had a problem. Our train was canceled and we ended up on a border town. I keep forgetting the name. My wife keeps reminding me, but it was really pretty. It was right on Lake Como and Switzerland side of it, and we ended up just spending one night there before we went to Milan. Then we worked our way south and went to Palermo and then a town called Salerno, which I absolutely love. And then we worked our way up to Rome, which was super cool. And we actually met some friends there, saw the Vatican, the Pantheon, which the Pantheon's awesome. I didn't realize some of the structure. And they're not sure if it doesn't really tell time, but it seems to be able to tell the different seasons and time of year and things like that. It was really neat, the tour that we got there. And then from Rome, we took a flight to Croatia, and we went to um, Bosnia Herzegovina. We also went to Montenegro, and then we worked our way back. A friend of my son's, about 5 or 6 years ago, they moved to Manchester, so we ended up going back there. Which Manchester was really cool. We really were just going to visit my son's friend, but it kind of reminds me of the East Coast. It's interesting. I grew up in New York, and Manchester kind of looks like the town that I grew up in. The only thing I'd say is different is the buildings are a little bit different and the roads are a little bit more narrow. But outside of that, the way that they're tree lined streets and it really reminded me of home and the quaint little towns. People don't realize once you get out of Manhattan and go north a bit, the towns are super small, and it's very similar to what I would say it was in the UK. And then back home. So it was really an amazing trip. It was nice to spend the time with with my family. I'm super tired, a little bit jet lagged, and I'm kind of excited to be home, which tells you how much I like being home too. I did get to see that Donald Trump got shot. It really floors me. I'm watching some of the videos and seeing that people think that it's staged. I don't mean this the wrong way, but those of you who think it's staged, forgive me. I don't think they're going to kill somebody in the stands and injure two other people to stage a fake attack on Donald Trump to try to help his political career. Now, I'm not super political. I have no agenda there. I just think you're getting a little extreme to think that that was a staged act. So forgive me, please rethink your thoughts. It's a terrible thing that people get that extreme about the politics. Please do not think it's okay because you don't like a candidate to be happy that somebody made an attempt on their life. No matter how much you like or dislike whoever it is you like, it's really terrible, and nobody should get that extreme about any of it. We have no control over it. And whatever they do in the political world is whatever they do. And these people are just trying to get a job, and they're trying to run and make decisions that they think are the best. At least we hope that is. But the extremists out there, you got to settle down. Like, really, it's just not that big a part of your life. One other thing I'll talk about since I got into politics is what was interesting about running around in Europe is a lot of the countries had a lot of, not a lot, I don't want to overstate it, but we did see some of the pro Palestine stuff. We did a day trip to Luxembourg and there was a riot there too. The only place that I didn't see it, and there was a lot of pro Israel stuff, was Germany. And on one of the tours, when I brought up the war to the guy who was doing the tour, he said something, and it was kind of what went through my head. Part of why they're pro Israel, and you see almost the opposite of what you see everywhere else, is because of the history and because of what people think of Germany. There's a concern from the Germans that if they aren't being pro Israel, that people are going to think, aha, I knew it was still in there somewhere. And it's not the case. The other thing that I learned is it wasn't just Germany involved in the war. There were a lot of countries that were supporting Hitler and moving along. It's just Germany admits it, addresses it, teaches it to their students because they never want to have anything like that happen again, which I think is really cool and really amazing to see how they take responsibility. And what they said, or at least what the tour guide felt like, is some of these other countries that don't acknowledge it, like that's why you have a little bit more of a problem there with some racism and other things. Now, just an opinion. Please don't go overboard. And I keep getting asked where was my favorite place that I visited. It's so hard to answer. There was no favorite place. There were things that really surprised me. I think the biggest surprise was Bosnia Herzegovina. That I didn't really have any knowledge of the area. I didn't realize how beautiful it is. I just kind of pictured it as a war zone based on my age and how I grew up, and they had wars going on all the time. But I don't know what that really means. But it's just gorgeous. When you get right over the border, it looks just like Croatia and Dubrovnik, right on the ocean, or Adriatic Sea, right there. And then as you move further in, similarly, they have an old town with the shopping, and they have this beautiful bridge that has a stream running through it. It's supposed to be the hottest town in the Baltics with the coldest water going through it. And then we went to this area that had three or four waterfalls falling into a little area where people could go and swim and hang out. That was absolutely stunning. Like, I would have never pictured in my mind that Bosnia Herzegovina looked like that, and even driving through the countryside looked almost like Colorado. So I would say that was the most surprising to me, but I really enjoyed almost everywhere and had such a great trip. There's no way for me to pick one place. Anyway, if you haven't already, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, make some comments. Let me know what you guys think about the markets. Do you think this pullback is going to continue and we're going to have a downturn? or do you think it's going to catch itself and we're still in a bull market? Have a great day.